Hello.
Hi.
Scared you, didn't I?
You scared me, not the audience.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm all right. You?
What do you mean, all right? That's all you ever say is all right. You good?
I'm good.
Work is good?
Yeah, work's great.
Your marriage is okay?
Yeah, marriage is great.
What's going on, man?
Actually, you know what? I got a funny story about marriage. I don't think you know this.
All right.
Did you know I almost
That's
married?
all he ever says.
Do you know I almost married somebody else?
No.
Chelsea Clinton.
No way.
Yeah, well,
Find that hard to believe, buddy.
let me tell you the story. So on my 13th birthday, her dad was being put in as the president of the United States.
It's called inauguration.
Inauguration. It's on my birthday every year. I just gave away my birthday. No, it's actually not every year because it's every 4 years. But nonetheless, on my 13th birthday, I am sitting there watching TV because as a 13-year-old, what else do you watch but U.S. politics?
Sure.
And I saw this beautiful girl.
That's weird.
She's got braces. She's got a nice black jacket. I still remember it, the curly hair. I fell in love at that moment. And it's so funny because, and this is so ridiculous thinking back now, but I spent actual moments thinking I could marry Chelsea Clinton because I'm going to go to film school. I'm going to write a big fancy movie. She's going to be at the premiere. We're going to finally get to meet and we're going to fall in love. It's all going to work out. We're going to be this power couple, this Canadian and American.
I now know you're a nut job.
You have to dream big. You want to know what else happened on my 13th birthday?
No, I don't want to know.
I named my company Hepburn Productions after Audrey Hepburn, my favorite actress.
That I knew.
She died on my 13th birthday.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. Coincidence.
How old would she have been?
It's a good question. She was a little out of my league, a little too old at that point.
Yeah, you like the Cougars, though.
I do like the Cougars, but I don't like when they're cold.
Oh, that was bad.
Well, hey, let's get the show started. Welcome to Taming the Hustle.
Or something of the sorts.
Everybody wants a piece of me. I'm a lonesome man making history. They say we're all just raindrops in a stream.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hey, I want to talk about something.
What's that?
So I know we talk about making a bigger impact on the world. And I know you and your team, you guys work with this term called impact investing.
Right.
And I know what it is. I know there are a lot of people who know what it is, but there is a good population who doesn't know what that means.
We exclusively invest in impact drills. That's it.
Impact drills. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a very
good.
niche market.
Well, it's for decks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want a good deck.
Big decks.
Big decks.
Yeah.
That's title
Have you
of your
ever seen
sex
my
tape.
big? Have you ever seen my big deck? It was made with an impact drill.
That's a porno where it's a deck contractor.
Actually, Darryl, impact investing is probably something we should save for another episode because I actually have a guest speaker in mind that I think would be of value to our listeners to bring in for this conversation. But I think what you're thinking of is ESG-rated investments.
Wait, so hold on a sec. I just pumped my own tires saying I know what impact investing is, and now you're telling me I don't know what impact investing is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were really banking on the big deck conversation that we just had. So let's just leave it at that. Darryl's got a big deck and we're good. And he's an impact investor. No, but seriously, that's an even better reason why we need to talk about it. You're part of that population that doesn't know what ESG-rated investing is. So, but hey, you're the marketing guru, though.
That's it. Good thing I asked you before we put out ads about impact investing.
But to educate our audience, I think ESG-rated investing is a conversation we have to have first, and then we'll bring this impact investing back to the table because it's quite important.
Fine.
So ESG-rated investing is essentially putting your money to good use. So you have an investment portfolio. It's choosing underlying assets, and that's the fund manager's job to select those companies. We'll talk about that too. But making conscientious decisions on how your investments are going to be made and which companies you're going to be working with with these companies making some sort of engagement or some sort of promise that they're going to work on ESG investing.
Yeah.
That's such a broad term. Actually, the term itself has gone under scrutiny because, there's no perfect company. When I first started in business in like I started in 99, we had what they called ethical funds. So ethical funds was the attempt at working with perfect companies.
Okay.
And it quickly became sort of like a smoke and mirrors where companies would do certain things just to pass the smell test to be called themselves ethical.
Gotcha.
Which to me was a real crock of shit. And it took me nearly 20 years to get back in this space, right? But ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And the scrutiny is that there is no such company that exists that's going to do everything right for the environment, that's going to do everything right at the social level, and is going to do everything right at the governance level.
Yeah.
Right. So let's demystify that a little bit, that ESG investing, if you're working with the right companies, so the companies that we work with have corporate engagements with all of the underlying assets.
Okay.
So whether they're working with a gas and oil company, or they're working with Tesla, or they're working with Apple, or they're working with Shoppers Drug Mart, they're going to have a certain set of criterias on how these companies are promising to deliver on improvements on their processes.
Okay.
So if there's a lag at the governance level, so let's use governance as an example, would be through the pandemic, a company struggled and they had to do some layoffs because of profitability.
Yeah.
And the CEO of the company still pays himself that $30 million bonus.
I
To me, that's not
hate
fucking
those
right.
guys. I hate those guys.
So it's like companies that are in business for their bottom line,
Yeah.
or it's companies that are in business because they have a value or they have a purpose and they feel strongly about their product or service. Same thing here. So the CEOs that are paying themselves the $30 million bonus after they laid off 1,000 employees, to me is very disheartening, and it's something that shouldn't exist.
And a throat punch is warranted.
That's a throat punch scenario for sure. We're very passionate about ESG and impact investing because even though it has some flaws, which we know, we're making mega headway, and we're like very, very engaged in this space. The next one, so I'm working it backwards, but the next one is S in the ESG is social. So through the pandemic, we've seen this really expedited with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, with racism with Asians, with the residential schools, with the Aboriginals.
Definitely.
It's just at the forefront of what people care about, right? This shit matters. So is bringing gender equality into the workspace, particularly at the management and executive level, is bringing ethnicity in. And you know what? We've always like preached to our team is that, we're never going to choose someone based on their color, their language, or their ethnicity. We're going to choose someone based on their skill and how they're able to bring value to the table, and making sure we're picking the right people that have the right set of values and ethics and their personality to boot, to make sure that they fit well and mesh well with the team.
Yeah.
So there's some huge headway that can be made in that space. So some of these companies are saying, okay, well, this is how I propose to do this. Then companies like NEI that we work with Manulife, that connect directly with the companies they're choosing to work with, to say, listen, you have a certain timeline to meet some of these objectives, whether it is bringing more gender equality into management or whatever. And then going to the first one, the environmental pieces, ESG or impact investing doesn't necessarily mean we're just working with green companies.
Okay.
Right? So it's not like every ESG company is going to be perfect on the environmental scale. Of course, reducing carbon footprint is like everyone's target and objective at this point, and that's really at the forefront of media and everything. But that's a piece of the three. And of course, we understand that you can't be perfect on all fronts, but it is very impactful to choose to work with companies that are engaged in making improvements and that are willing to pass the smell test and to be sort of scrutinized and monitored by the companies or the institutional investors that are going to be investing in their companies.
So it's kind of like the average person, right? It's like, I would love to be super freaking perfect, have solar panels on my house, and, wear shoes made out of trees.
Yeah. Turn your pee into drinking water and just
exactly. I wish I could do all that stuff, but I can't. But if I do nothing,
that would be salty.
Yeah. If I do nothing at all, that's bullshit, and it's terrible for everyone.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
at least if I do my part and a little bit, so kind of the same thing what you're saying is these companies, it's like, yes, it'd be great if they could do everything, but if they can't do everything, at least we're working with companies who are doing what they can. Is that kind of the thing?
Absolutely. And the other thing too is I've spoken to institutional investors and people that manage billions in assets that say, I'm a little bit concerned still of the whole smoke and mirror show. And I think we agree that something is better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
And the sentiment at the higher level when institutional investors or fund companies going in to invest into a company, that there's often some backlash at the upper management because they're not quite ready to make those changes because
Gotcha.
it could potentially affect profitability. But our view is that society as a whole is shifting towards that, and that
Definitely.
demand is going to be so strong that they're going to have no choice. So we rather be there in terms of returns where we're going to be sitting at the finish line with our clients rather than being reactive and having missed out in this space.
And now my next question, I guess, is kind of the important question. So when I go to the grocery store, I want to eat healthy. I want to do the right thing and eat organic. And, I want my beef not to have crazy stuff in it. I just want all natural all the time. So when I do that, I pay more. So now my question to you is, if I'm investing, doing the impact investing, am I losing money because I'm investing in those types of companies?
No, and you shouldn't be if you're working with the right people. I mean, that is key. Now, going back to the early days of this ethical investing. So ethical investing was an exclusion method that they actually put in place where they would totally exclude certain sectors.
Oh.
They called them sin stocks. So sin stocks, for example, would be companies that would be all about tobacco, would be about
Gotcha.
gambling,
Sinners.
about alcohol, right? So instead of, sinners. So rather than exclude those companies altogether, companies we work with have chosen to set certain perimeters to engage with them. And if those companies are willing to engage and make certain promises that they're going to improve in certain sectors of their business, whether it is on the environmental piece, the social piece, or the governance piece, and then they choose to not work with those companies if they don't meet the criteria or the timelines that they were promising.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So there's no reason why you can't put together a portfolio that has similar returns to something that has no ESG component at all. So even though you have mutual funds that are not specifically rated as an ESG company or an ESG fund, I should say, is that the fund managers are now starting to pay attention to those criteria as their day-to-day screening process of working with companies. So I think society is going to be forcing us to be moving into this space. I really believe that's where the returns are going to be.
Nice. Now, my last question, I think, is can you do it like I like the cream in my coffee? Can I have a half and half?
Well, sure you can. It's the consumer's decision, right?
Yeah,
My
okay.
sense on that, though, and I've used this analogy 1,000 times, is that if you're someone who cares, let's use recycling, for example. If you say, I'm a recycler and I recycle all of my cans, well, okay, so you're a true recycler and you try to reduce, reuse, and recycle, and you do your share as a regular consumer.
Yeah.
But you can't say that if you're only going to put 10% of your money in an ESG portfolio.
Gotcha.
And say, fuck, I'm a recycler. I just recycle every 10th can. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. So you either have something that you're passionate about, and we have clients that don't really care, which is fine. But for the most part, people are very engaged and people are very interested in being in this space because it's like having a 3-dimensional investment, right? You're adding that third dimension, which is having an impact with the money that you have. So we tell our clients, we can't do it alone, but we manage a lot of assets. And if collectively we all move into this space, maybe we can then lobby and influence decision makers to say, you have to get your shit together. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all about making a difference. Like, to be honest, like whether you are recycling your cans, that's the thing. My parents, they don't have, it's so odd. I'm not going to say the name of the town because it's just going to anger me. They only have garbage pickup. There is no green bin. There's no recycling. And so when I go there, like we actually sometimes bring our recycling back to our own home. And so it's one of those things where everyone's trying to make a difference. Even if you can't do something like recycle in your own home, you could do this instead, right? Move your investments there. It's like, I don't want to say baby steps because I think some people want to dive right in, but there are others who are afraid. And I think you took the stigma away today, because I think a lot of people think it costs more, like it's going to affect their bottom line.
Management fees are very similar in that space than traditional mutual funds. Because we compare portfolios all the time, and the return as well. And my sentiment again, and I'm not going to make any type of predictions, but my team and I feel that that's where the returns are going to be. Just seeing the shift and what's going on with electric cars, with companies that are making promises of reducing their carbon footprint to essentially zero, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the environment piece. Again, getting back to what we've seen with the pandemic on the social level, and the governance being at the forefront of the media with CEO bonuses. And that's just one topic in terms of governance. I mean, we could speak about this forever, but
Definitely. Speaking of shifting, we're going to shift to me now. And well, not right now. Let's take a break first.
okay.
We'll see you in a minute.
Selling your business on your own can be emotional, confusing, and leaving you with more questions than answers.
Assembling the right team of experts to sell your business begins here. It's that simple. # call Renee of St. Cyr & Associates.
Welcome back. You know what? This ESG investing has really got me excited, because I love the idea that people can make a difference from literally the comfort of their own home.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a broad conversation. I mean, we could speak about this for a long time. So what I propose, and I think what you'll see throughout some of our episodes, is that we're going to piece off some of the different topics within the ESG and impact investing space, and just dive into more specifics as time goes on.
And that'll make a real impact. Hey, let's talk. I want to talk about some marketing stuff right now, and just business in general. And one of the things I get asked a lot by our clients is, how do we connect with our audience? And it seems a lot of people think those are just buzzwords, because they're like, yeah, how do you connect with your audience? They're on the other side of a computer. There's nothing.
Are we connecting right now?
I think we're connecting with our audience for sure. And I'll tell you why, because one of the big factors, and I tell everyone this, whether you're a client, a friend, whatever, if you're trying to connect with an audience, you have to be human. And I know we're all human, but some of us don't act like that.
Yeah. It's like my dad taught me growing up, is that he instilled in us that you have to treat the custodian the very same way that you treat the CEO of the company.
Definitely.
Because we're all the same.
Yep.
We're all human. We all bleed when we cut ourselves. Our shit stinks. I've never met anyone that it doesn't. And
You haven't smelt mine.
I don't want to. So having said that, connecting with our people by humanizing ourselves is really, really important. And you've helped me be mindful of that through the years as well.
I find on social media, there are a lot of companies who have this really great post. And then, yes, I get sometimes 1,000 people might respond to you. But if you ignore them and don't respond back, you took out the humanizing factor.
So how do you humanize yourself? Teach us, oh great one.
You got to do the work. You have
Teach
to
us,
do.
oh great one.
Yeah, it's all about doing the work. So like in that instance, it's responding to customers. If there are 1,000 people who ask you questions, answer 1,000 questions.
You know what makes that really easy is being genuine about it too.
100%. And try to look, if you see that 20 people ask the exact same question, you only have to respond to the one person, but tag the others, right? And if you have a social media person, that's their job. So if they're not doing that, you can walk down the hall, knock on their office door and say, hey, I was just listening to this cool podcast, and why are you not responding? And the other thing is like little things, again, social media, creating a group. So a lot of companies that I talk to, they don't want to do something like this. So, you know how Facebook has groups. And I say things like, let's pretend it's a gym. Okay. You own a fitness studio. It's like, start a group, not about your gym, because customers don't want to give a shit about that. They are going to invest in you in another way.
Yoga
or, health food. Start a health food coupon sales group, right? When sales go on your protein shakes or whatever, that's the group and everyone's talking about it.
Get your freak on with a coupon.
Exactly.
What I'd call it.
Or like a clothing store who starts a used clothing swap group. And it's funny because I did pitch this to a clothing store that we work with, and they were like, well, wait a second, we want them to buy new clothes. And nothing connected the human factor more than saying, hey, we are going to help people save a little money here. And guess what happens when they save money? They went in and bought something with that money they saved.
I think they told you it was a bit of a worn out story.
It had a hole in it.
It was flawed. It had a hole in it.
The other thing is, and it's funny when I say this because I preach not to look at analytics too much, but this is an instance where you need to look at the analytics, see what people are liking, and you'll find more often than not, those posts that are not related to your business are way more popular than the ones that are related to your business. And that brings me to post something that's not about business.
And relevant.
Yeah. And it's humanize you and your team. If you guys, cycle together, take pictures of that. Put it up there. Even if two of your employees cycle together, put it up there. Humanize it, because you know what? Anybody else who cycles now is going to come to your shop because they're like, I cycle.
What if we all do jumping jacks?
Jumping jacks are good.
We can create a jumping jack group and post it.
Exactly. It's well, now you just gave away that was my $1 million idea. I've been working on that one.
Jumping jacks?
Yeah. But engagement is key, right? And if you humanize your company, people are going to want to be part of it. And the other thing is, there are companies who have humanized themselves really, really well, to the point where you follow them on Instagram, and when you respond, you actually, in your brain, you think you're responding to someone that you've had over for dinner, but you're really not.
Everyone wants a sense of belonging.
100%.
That's human nature.
Yep. I preach it all the time. Just fucking humanize yourself. Just like I just said, fuck.
I read an article once that professionals that curse have a tendency to be more honest than the ones that don't.
Fucking right.
Right? So it's a means to humanize it. And I swear. And I'm cautious about it. I mean, I know that some people aren't huge fans of cursing.
Yeah, for sure.
But when appropriate, I'm okay with throwing the F-bomb from here.
See, I always teach my kids. I didn't tell my kids they can't swear because they live with me, and they're like, well, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense.
The funniest was when we had Peyton do
Peyton is my daughter.
The swear commercial,
Yeah.
Famous Peyton. So she would not say shit.
No.
She just wouldn't say, it's shit. Like, it's not like she's saying goddamn motherfucker.
Yep.
Like, it's shit, and we just couldn't get it out.
She couldn't get it out. And then she just recently, actually, she did an audition for a movie, and she had it said in her first line was like, "Man, you just shit your pants." And she read the script, she's like, "Can I not say it?" And I'm like, "Do you want to get the part?"
Was it an old Target commercial where she was shipping her pants?
No, I wish. Those are great commercials.
I just ship my bed.
I just shit my bed.
I just ship my drawers.
It's like shiplap.
Yeah.
I love that word, shiplap.
Shiplap.
It sounds like you're taking a shit and doing a lap.
Shitlap.
Yeah, shitlap. The old shitlap.
I've heard of that.
I know. Listen, I want to take a break, but I want to come back, and I don't want to get. This isn't a mushy topic. I don't want you to think that I'm bringing this up because we're sitting across from each other, looking into each other's eyes.
I don't even know what we're talking about today.
Friendships.
Nice.
I see grown adults who lose friends over the stupidest things.
We'll be right back.
I remember when Grandma died, the entire family stressed over her estate, especially with Mom being the executor.
Oh my God, Grandma's not dead.
Mom, until you #call Renee, it's easy to predict the future.
Don't wait until it's too late. #call Renee of St. Cyr and Associates.
Hi, friend. We're back.
Hello, friend.
Friends. We should call this the Friends Podcast.
Friends.
You know why?
No one would have ever heard of that before.
I know, but that's why it's genius. Like it's a marketing ploy, because people will be like, "Oh my God, the cast of Friends are doing a podcast."
Yeah, that'd be a real paper bag letdown.
Yeah, a little bit.
We'd have no listeners after episode 1.
What if I sang the Friends theme song?
Go ahead.
No, I don't do karaoke.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So listen, I want to talk about friendships and how to stay strong and healthy. And I was thinking about this last night, and I feel like I had no clue why I can keep the friends I have, how we stay so strong and so healthy together, and we're never really fighting. And I couldn't really come up with a reason why, except for I've surrounded myself with people that don't drive me fucking crazy.
Yeah, and we're not professionals by any means in this
No,
space.
no, we're not
We
a
know
doctor.
fuck all. We just learn by trial and errors like the guinea pigs that we are.
Exactly. But to me, it comes down to if there's things that they do that annoy you, just like you and I, we vocalize it. It's like, hey, that drives me crazy when you do that. So what is it for you? What makes you have, because you have a lot of good, close friends.
I think we're different in that sense. I have a few close friends, and that's it. I keep my circle small. I like it small, and you are more the social butterfly.
Yes, I am my father. And it just comes natural to me because I just, that fuels me. Like, that's nourishment for me, is relationships.
Yeah.
I just feel nourished. I know it sounds cliche, but it's like, you complete me, right? Like, I feel complete when I have a surrounding of good friends and family, and connectivity, like connecting with people. I often preach to my team. So here's an interesting thing. It's so simple. But if you want to survive in my business and many other businesses, you have to learn to connect with people.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is what we're talking about. Is I challenge my crew to find something in common that they have with every human encounter that they have.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that you're going to have the chance to have a chat with someone at
Yeah.
Starbucks or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you happen to be connecting with a waitress that's a little chattier than usual,
Yep.
or you meet someone on the golf course, or you're out cycling and you're with a group of people and you're cycling next to a person and you just get chatting, is find one thing that you connect with, something in common, because you can figure out a commonality in every human being.
For sure.
Whether it's a certain food you like, whether it's a certain climate or a certain area you like to travel to, or fishing or hunting or kayaking or a certain sport,
Yep.
right? You're a sports guy. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not how we connect.
Exactly.
But we connect on other levels. And I challenge my crew that if they want to have the social skills required to succeed in this business, is to be genuine, to share and be proud of your values, and to find connectivity with everyone that you work with. Builds trust. It strengthens those relationships, and it costs nothing.
Exactly. And I when I say you're the social butterfly and I like to have just a few friends, I do enjoy that social aspect. And exactly what you've said is that I try to find the good in people, or that what we have in common. And I think there are times where I'm like, man, I'd love to have a dinner party of 15, 20 people. And there are times that we have done that. And I listen, I got things in common with everybody in the room and I love them and they're great people. But I'm the type about an hour and a half in, I'm like, hey, go the fuck home now. And
I'll have to remember that. Jesus Christ.
But when I'm with the people I am close with, the small group, I could be with them forever. There's never a moment where I'm like, yeah, you got to go.
You got to read the crowd. That's the thing.
Yeah.
When with large groups, you either have to pump them full of booze.
Yeah.
Or if you can read the crowd and they're going to be jackasses, don't feed them any booze at all.
Exactly. Just getting the fuck out.
I'm just kidding. No, I do have, I always grew up with not having a lot of close friends, but having, I would say close as in very intimate friends.
Yeah.
But I grew up with a number of friends that I connected well with, and I just kept those relationships, and they strengthened over time, where they almost all became intimate relationships, right? And what I mean by intimate is, people that you can confide in and that you can trust. If you're, it's the secret thing. If you can share a secret with a friend and you can trust and not worry that they're going to share that secret, that's that type of intimacy that you get to when you nourish a relationship properly. Again, I'm not a relationship specialist.
No.
I get very, very fueled by connecting with people.
See, and I just want to make one last point before we go, is that, and at this point is not for the audience, it's for you, is that I brought this up today because I had this small suspicion for a long time that, because we were close friends growing up, you didn't have many close friends, and when you became an adult, you started working in the business, you grew your friends crazy to this big group of friends. And I thought, you were like, man, that's enough of Darryl. It's time. I need fucking more people than Darryl.
That's exactly what happened.
So now I feel like I feel a little better about that, because now that was my roundabout way of tricking you into telling me that we're.
Fuck you.
I know.
Never once ignored you.
No.
Let's not get into this on air. I don't want to talk about it.
You know what?
You're just making me mad.
Renee was good to me. We would hang out in his basement in high school. We'd play guitar till 1 a.m. on a school night, and then I'd walk home alone in a fucking snowstorm. Yeah. So you didn't ignore me at all.
But I always lent you my gloves.
That is true. I had gloves. It was amazing.
One thing that I wanted to add on the whole nourishing thing is, for me, what I've observed is you have to be genuine about it, because if you don't make real connections,
sure.
that shit falls through the cracks right away. Well, yeah, so I was going to mention that. Actually, you said about how I grew my friend base as I got into this business. So I started off when I was fresh out of school. I was managing at a grocery store. My plan was to own grocery store or grocery stores. That
Nice.
was my plan. I started working in the produce department when I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I just had a passion for business, and I had a passion for the public. Like, I really loved people. And here's the shift, and this, the purpose for me elaborating on this, is when I was in the grocery business, I knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you had all of your regulars, and you would say hello and you'd ask them how they're doing, but you would never get to really know them.
Yeah.
Rarely did you ask for a customer's name.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, exactly.
You would just recognize who they are, and you would
Yeah.
just make pleasant hellos. So when I got into the financial planning industry, however, is that the amount of people that I was working with
Yeah.
was much, much smaller, but you got to know everything about them. Right?
Yeah, for
Think
sure.
about it. So if we do a full financial plan, you would go through A to Z to discover what they have in investments, what their income is, what they have in terms of debt, what are the family dynamics, what's the relationship with the spouse, do they share finances, do they agree, do they disagree, do they butt heads, do you have problems with children? Drug addiction is a huge thing, right? Good families, bad
Yeah.
families, it doesn't matter. So how do you deal with writing up the proper will to deal with children that have no ability to manage resources or
Yeah.
manage assets, right? You become so ingrained in their lives because you know so much about them, and there's that level of trust we keep going back to.
Yeah.
By nourishing those relationships, many and most of my clients, whether they're family or not, have become friends, and many have become very close friends, because you do develop a certain level of intimate relationship, because now you
for
have
sure.
the trust factor, because they're confiding in you,
Yeah.
and you have that trust factor with your advisor and that client advisor relationship. So naturally, my friend data bank grew exponentially over the years, because
Yeah.
you do develop true friendships. And I think I'm in the right business, because I really,
Yeah,
really love
definitely.
what I do. And when I get up in the morning, it's not like work. I just
Yeah.
get up and I look after my peeps.
Nice.
How often do I tell a client, I got your back?
Yeah.
Is because I do. And
Yeah.
I get up to take care of my people. And that gives me that sense of purpose that gets me out of bed every day. So
It's awesome. Well, listen, you're a good friend, and like I said, we spent a little too much time together this morning, so I'm just gonna go find a new friend.
let's call it a day.
Let's call it a day. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Ciao.